guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I am going to be doing every book that I read in 2023. So I have a lot of books to get through, so I'm not going to talk too much about each one. Probably just gonna tell you the title, my rating, maybe a little something about it. But before we get into that, I thought I would go through like my Goodreads wrap up for the year. So if you don't already follow me on Goodreads, definitely make sure to do that. It's always linked down below. But I read a total of 79 books this year. I'm currently reading one book right now that I'm hoping to finish by the end of the year. Today is December 30th that I'm filming this, so I'm like, might be able to finish it before the end of the year. Who knows? But currently I have read 79 books and I've read 29,608 pages. My shortest book was Luster by Raven Leilani. It was 227 pages. My longest book was Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home, 645 pages. My average book length was 374 pages. My average rating was 3.8. There's also a website that someone made. It's called myyearinbooks.com, where you can link your Goodreads data, and it kind of like makes almost like a Spotify Wrapped, but for Goodreads. That one says that I read 49,679 minutes. I read 65 contemporaries, 56 romance, 10 thrillers. My top author was Elsie Silver, which makes sense because I read the entire Chestnut Spring series this year. My reading vibes are hopelessly romantic, and then it gives you some of your 5 stars, but we'll go through all of those. So yeah, I'm just gonna go month by month, and yeah, let's just get right into it. First up for January, I read 9 books. So first I have In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle. I gave this one 4 stars, I believe. I actually really liked this. I've heard some people saying that they didn't like it, but I actually really enjoyed this. It was like a cool concept. Next, we have My Policeman by Beth Ann Roberts. This one was 4 stars. I loved this book so much. I read it right before watching the movie. The movie's incredible too, and it's just such a good book. Next, we have one of my favorites of the year. That is Daisy Jones and the Six. I gave this one 5 stars. I did make a video talking about all of my favorite books of the year, so definitely make sure to go check that one out. Next, we have Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I gave this one 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed this one. This was the first Ali Hazelwood book I ever read, and I loved it so much. Her writing is just so fun and like easy. It's a workplace romance, it's enemies to lovers. It's such a cute book. Then we have Writers and Lovers by Lily King. I gave this one 3 stars. Honestly, I don't remember a whole lot about this book. I remember kind of being disappointed by it because I was really hoping to love it, and it just wasn't necessarily for me. Then we have The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This has now become one of my all-time favorite books. This one is a 5 star, a 6 star, a bajillion star. I love this book so, so much. And we have On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong, I think is how you say it, Ocean Vuong. I'm not entirely sure. I give this one 3 stars. This just isn't like my favorite type of book, like a more non-fiction memoir. It's just not like my typical book that I would read. Then I read If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. This book is so depressing but so good. I remember just like staring at the wall after reading this book because I was just in shock, and I gave this one 4 stars. And the last book that I read in January was November 9 by Colleen Hoover, and I gave this one 4 stars as well. For the month of February, I read 7 books. So first I read Luster by Raven Leilani. Again, this is just a genre of book I don't love. It's literary fiction. I wasn't obsessed with the writing. It just wasn't my favorite. So I give this one 2 stars. Then we have Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I went on an Abby Jimenez binge this year. I love her writing so much. I gave this one 4 stars. Then I read The Midnight Library. This one is also a 4 stars. I love the concept of this book. It was such a beautifully written book. Then I read an incredibly depressing book, and that is The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. Gave this one 4 stars. Definitely check trigger warnings on this book if you want to pick it up, but it is so, so good, and I'm so excited to read the second book that comes after this. I just picked it up recently. Then I read Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Everyone and their mother is obsessed with this book, and I am just as much as them. I adore this book so much, and I gave this one 5 stars. Then I have In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. I gave this one 4 stars at first, but then once I thought about it more, I ended up bumping it down to 3 stars. It just wasn't like an absolute favorite. I don't love memoirs, like I've said, and it was okay, but it wasn't like an absolute favorite for me. Then the last book I read in February was Things You Save in a Fire by Catherine Center. I absolutely adore her books. I love her writing so much. I gave this one 4 stars, and I highly, highly recommend it if you have not read it. Okay, then in March, I only read one book. I moved that month and just had a lot going on. I was in kind of a reading slump, so I really did not read very much that month. So all I read was Red, White, and Royal Blue, which I ended up giving 5 stars. I love this book so much. It's so sweet. The movie's so cute. It's like cheesy, but it's just so fun. I love it. And then April, unfortunately, wasn't too much better. I read 4 books in April. So the first one I read is The Hating Game. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I just didn't love this book. I was kind of like icked out by the characters, and like I just felt like it was very cringy, and I don't know, I just didn't love it very much. Then I read The Wedding Crasher by Mia Sosa. This one is fake dating, which is like one of my favorite tropes that I love so much, and I gave this one 4 stars. Next we have Happiness for Beginners by Catherine Center. This is brother's best friend. There is a little bit of an age gap, and the girl is actually older, which I feel like is not typically how it is an age gap, but I really enjoyed this one and I gave it 4 stars. Then the last book I read in April absolutely shattered me. I was heartbroken after finishing this book, and that Bright Side by Kim Holden. This is one of my top books of the year. I just adore this book so much. Obviously gave this one 5 stars. May, I was finally out of my reading slump and I read 9 books this month. So first I read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I only gave this one 3 stars. I know so many people love this book. This was like one of the top rated books of the entire year on Goodreads, and I don't know, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like my absolute favorite. Then, right after that, I read one of my top books of the year, Happy Place by Emily Henry. If you know me, you know I will literally read anything Emily Henry writes, and I just love her books so much, and this book is just so special to me, and I would give this book a bajillion stars if I could. Then I read Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is fake dating, workplace romance. I adore the writing in this book. I just love Abby Jimenez literally so much. So that book started my binge of Abby Jimenez, and then I followed that up with 3 more Abby Jimenez books. So we have The Friend Zone, which I gave 3.5 stars, Happy Ever After Playlist, which I gave 4 stars, and Life's Too Short, which I also gave 4 stars. Then I read Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I loved it so much. It is another one of my top favorite books of the year. Then I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This was such a fun thriller. This is the first thriller book I think I read this year, I want to say. And it kind of started me on this thriller journey, and I ended up reading quite a few thrillers this year that I loved. But I gave this one 3.5 stars. And then the last book for May is The Reunion by Kayla Olson, and I gave this one 3 stars. Okay, in June I read 8 books. So the first book I read is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I gave this one 3.5 stars. This is One of Us is Famous, Grumpy Sunshine, Small Town. It was really cute, but it didn't like blow me away. Then I read Practice Makes Perfect, which is the second book in that series, and I gave this one 4 stars. This one is like bad boy, good girl trope, Grumpy Sunshine, same small town. It's really cute. Then I read The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. I gave this one 3.5 stars. This is a thriller, and it was actually really interesting. Then I read The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I read this on my phone. This was before I got a Kindle, and I devoured this book. I loved it so much. It was so entertaining. The plot twists like blew me away. I gave this one 4 stars. Then I read The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is an academia romance. It's Grumpy Sunshine. It's a very slow burn. I gave this one 4 stars. Then I read another thriller on my phone. I read Never Lie by Frida McFadden. I gave this one 4 stars, and this started my love for Frida McFadden. I read a few more of her books later in the year, and I just love her writing so much. And at some point, I literally want to get through all of her books because I just love her. Then I read Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I gave this one 5 stars. This is childhood friends to lovers, past and present. I love this book so much. And then finally, I had to have my reread of Beach Read. This book is a 5-star. I love this book so much. Like, it is just perfection. In the month of July, I read 7 books. The first book I read was Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. I gave this book 1.5 stars. I hated this book. I'm sorry to say it, but I hated it. Then I read Mile High by Liz Tom Ford. Again, I read this on my phone on Kindle, and this started my love for the Windy City series. I adore this series so much. In the first book, Mile High, I gave 4 stars. Next, I read Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Alyssa Sussman or Elisa Sussman. I gave this one 3 stars. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really remember a whole lot about this book. Then I read Right Move by Liz Tomford. Gave that one 5 stars. Absolutely adored it so much. Ryan Shea is an acts of service king and we love him. Read The Summer of Broken Rules. I gave this one 4 stars. It is a YA, but it's a very like easy, quick read. It was perfect to read in the summer. Then I read The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I also gave this one 4 stars. This one is fake dating, obviously a bodyguard romance. I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about this one, but I actually really loved it. Then I read Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune, and I was really hoping I was gonna love this one because I loved Every Summer After, and this one just kind of, I don't know, fell flat for me. It wasn't my favorite. I gave this one 3.5 stars. In August, I only read 5 books. So first I reread Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I adored this book so much and I gave this one 5 stars. Then I read Queenie by Candice Carty Williams and I only gave this one 2 stars. I don't know, the writing style and the storyline just wasn't for me. Then I read The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. I gave this one 3.5 stars. This is enemies to lovers, workplace romance, fake dating, and I enjoyed it, but like the beginning was so slow. I remember literally being like 300 pages in and feeling like nothing had happened. So it was good, but I feel like it could have been cut down a lot. Then I read Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. I gave this one 2.5 stars. This is about Sally, who's a comedy writer for a late night show that's basically supposed to be like SNL. And then it's her romance with one of the celebrity guests. And I thought I was really gonna like that concept, but I don't know, I just didn't love the writing style. And then finally I read Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. I gave this one 4 stars. I feel like her books are always ones that I'm gonna enjoy. In September, I read 7 books. First, I read Flawless by Elsie Silver. This one is Enemies to Lovers, and I gave this one 4.5 stars. I adored this book so much. Then I did my annual reread of Normal People by Sally Rooney. This book will forever be a 5-star, a 6-star. It is just perfect to me and I love this book so much. Then I read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This is the first Alice Feeney book I've read and I really enjoyed her writing and I really want to read more thrillers by her. I gave this one 4 stars. Then I read The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This book was so incredible. It's not what I typically read. It is more literary fiction, but this book was so amazing, so well written, such a deep and impactful message, and I loved it so much. I gave this one 4 stars. Rounded out the month with more of the Chestnut Spring series. So we have Heartless, this is Single Dad Nanny. I gave this one 4 stars. Powerless is Childhood Friends to Lovers. Also gave this one 4 stars. And Reckless is Accidental Pregnancy, which I wasn't sure I was going to love, but I actually really enjoyed it and I gave this one 4 stars as well. In October, I read 6 books. First, I read Magnolia Parks. I gave this book 4 stars. I did a whole reading vlog on the Magnolia Parks series and I just love it so much. Like I already want to reread them. They're literally so good. Then I read the first Daisy Hates book. I gave this one 4.5 stars. I'm more of a Daisy Hates girl than a Magnolia Parks girl, I think. I mean, the whole series is incredible, but I love Daisy Hates so much. Then I read a few thrillers. These are all from a reading blog of reading thrillers for a week. So we have Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. I gave this one 3 stars. Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I gave 3.5 stars. And then None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I gave 4.25 stars. I know that's a very specific rating, but it just feels right. This book was really good though. I highly recommend it if you haven't read it. And then I ended the month reading Magnolia Parks The Long Way Home. Gave this book 5 stars. I just adore this book so much. In November, I read 8 books. I started with Daisy Hates The Great Undoing, gave this one 5 stars as well. Then I read Fourth Wing and I gave this book 4.5 stars. I know I'm so late to the game reading this, but it was so good. Then I read the most recent book in the Windy City series, that is Caught Up, and I gave that one 5 stars. I loved that book so much. It made me cry, which romances like that don't typically make me cry, but I don't know why. It made me tear up. It was so good. Then I read Iron Flame, which I gave 4 stars. I know a lot of people were disappointed by Iron Flame, and I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't really what I was hoping for, especially after how good Fourth Wing was, but it was still okay. Like, I'm excited to get the rest of the series, but I definitely don't think it lived up to the hype that Fourth Wing had. Then I read Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This is the next book after Icebreaker, and I loved Icebreaker so much, and I was hoping that this one would live up to it, but I don't know, I didn't like love the romance as much in this one, so I gave this one 3.5 stars. Then I read The Inmate by Frida McFadden. Absolutely love that book. Like I said, I love her writing so much, and I gave that one 4 stars. Then I read the most recent book and the last book in the Chestnut Spring series, and that is Hopeless. This one is fake dating or fake engagement, and I gave this one 4 stars. And then I read What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Walther. This is a YA book, so I wasn't like obsessed with it, but it was like a cute, easy read. I gave this one 3 stars. Okay, and then finally we have December. I've read 8 books so far, and I'm just going to quickly give you the name of them. I'm not gonna say my ratings yet because I'm gonna do a December wrap up. First, I read A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. Then I read Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh, A Winter in New York by Josie Silver, A Cross Country Christmas by Courtney Walsh, The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, Georgie All Along by Kate Claiborne, Powerless by Lauren Roberts, which I'm just gonna tell you guys right now, absolutely love this book. Had I read this before filming my top 10 books of the year, this would have been in there. And then I read Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. I've kind of actually been slowly reading this over the last 2 months, but I just finished it. And then the book I'm currently reading is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. Hopefully I'll finish that by the end of the year. Okay, that was a lot of books to get through. Hopefully this video isn't like an hour long. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining me this year on my YouTube journey. So excited for what the upcoming year has. This is going to be my last video of this year. So thank you guys again for watching. I hope everyone has a happy and safe New Year's, and I will see you in 2024. Bye.